Our next presentation is from the founder of Kino Flo, Frieder Hocheim. Frieder, you're going to make a PowerPoint presentation and talk about LED systems?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little PowerPoint, do a little demonstration, and try to at least get the information across of what we feel is important about how we've embraced the new technologies of the 21st century.
Well, let me get a good seat for this one.
So we've been around since 1987. Everybody knows us as a fluorescent company, but we've embraced the 21st century and all the options that are available through LED. We basically have three lines of LED. We have the Select line, which is our replacement for the 4-bank. We made it a little smaller, a little lighter. Well, not a little lighter, it's smaller, so it's a little handier. Basically the same weight, same light output. We also have the Diva light, which is well known, especially for a lot of documentary filmmakers, where all the electronics are contained. And we have the Celeb line. So basically 3 lines of LED. The Celeb line is more of a studio line, a little heavier. What's really important on the Select is that it's our replacement for the 4-foot 4-bank. That was a workhorse of the industry. So it's the same weight as a 4-bank, slightly shorter, same light output, very important. So if you're used to working with a 4-bank, you know what to expect. You know that if you buy a Select 30, you're going to have that same performance. The controller is removable, so you can either go with it on board or you can go remote. It has a new 25-foot head cable. So again, it gives you a lot of flexibility, the kind of flexibility you had with a 4-bank. Universal power, so 90 volts, 240 if you're traveling internationally, not an issue. Flicker free, dead quiet. Also DC operable. So on the stage here today we have the Diva light, which has now the same color controls as the Select, as the Celeb. So our color controls have now gone cross-platform. Select system basically is what you always knew about the 4-bank. You had a fixture, a mounting plate, cable, and a controller. The Diva lights, the only difference here is all the same color performance, the light quality is the same, but the electronics are contained. And with that comes a slightly lower price point. The Celeb series, we had the 201 series, which was bicolor. Now we're going to the Celeb 50 series. So here we now have the full color presentation available. And with that, we really need to talk about this whole color thing that's going on that you're seeing amongst all the manufacturers. Now, we didn't jump into this too quickly. We wanted to first understand what is the color point target. And with all these new cinema cameras coming on the market, we really see every new cinema camera as a new film stock. And in the old days, we knew that film stocks had their own subtle nuances. Something showed a little more magenta, something a little more was more sensitive to green. The cinema cameras are really no different. So what we created was our own spectrometer in order to try and understand what is the objective here. In order to understand that, you need to understand the spectral sensitivity curves of the cameras. So we modeled about 16 of the major cinema cameras that are on the market. Through that, we're able to actually see how individual cameras see the same light source differently. Now, it's not as big an issue if you're dealing with broad spectrum sources like daylight or say tungsten, but the minute you get into discontinuous light, and if you look around us nowadays in the real world, it's full of discontinuous light. LEDs are discontinuous, the fluorescent is discontinuous, and there are all these other solid state lighting systems. Everything is discontinuous light. So with that, that's where the subtleties start to show up amongst these different cameras. How do you deal with it? We decided we're trying to hit a moving target. So we need to come up with some starting point. And so there was a simple matter of, well, whatever color point we choose, it should be relevant to the industry. So what's the more dominant camera on the market? At the time we established our color point, it was the Arri Alexa. It's as simple as that. Called a bunch of rental houses. What's moving more than anything else? They all came back to that camera. So the native color space that all of our systems are on are predicated on the Alexa. The color controller. We try to keep things very simple. We try to display everything on one view. So you have your dim settings, you have your Kelvin settings, you have green magenta adjustments. So everything in one view. There are two buttons you need to know, the mode button and a little button on the side, which is an attenuator or a dimmer. In the white mode, you have your dimming, and you have 4 color presets. So you can choose from 2700 on up to 6500 Kelvin. The green magenta was very important because, like I said, these cameras all respond a little differently to discontinuous light. So that means that one camera may see a pristine light, absolutely perfect. You put another camera on it from another manufacturer, and you look at it and you say, you know what, I think I see some magenta in there. It's not a lot, but enough to say it's just it's not a match. Well, using the green magenta attenuation, you can go ahead either just green or magenta up to 100 points of adjustment. So and 100 stands for a full green or a full minus green. And we find that little bit of adjustment pretty much takes care of any of these camera anomalies that we see, at least from a skin tone perspective. The other big thing about this entire control system is that it's DMX hardwire and DMX wireless. So we operate on a Lumen radio protocol. It allows us to talk to dimmer boards through a Wi-Fi interface. You can talk to Luminaire on an iPhone app or on your phone. So again, this whole wireless control is sort of the big thing. We have a number of color modes, light modes. This is really a light engine. So we have the Kelvin mode, the white light mode. Then we have a gel mode. Now the gel mode also offers extended Kelvin. So for instance, our presets were 27, 32, 5, 6500. Now, I don't know if you see the green and the magenta. Now the beauty, so this is now the gel mode screen that we can that's up on the screen. So we still see everything in one view. We have your dim, your Kelvin, green magenta, but now the gel. One of the challenging colors to hit is, or one of the challenging colors when you're shooting on location in general is that sodium vapor. You're out on the street. What gel do you use for sodium vapor? So we've actually created a fixed color point for sodium vapor, for mercury vapor. So there's about 8 Kino colors that are in there, which are fixed colors, and after that we have about 107 common gels. Now the gels we've put in by their description, between Roscoe and Lee, they all went with the same description. They may have had different numbers. So instead of trying to clutter up the menu with a lot of numbers and a lot of different menus, we thought, let's just put in the descriptor and we'll put a reference number next to it. So if you're trying to call out a gel to another instrument, you can basically go by that number. So again, a lot of different gels. And what's really cool is that as you're looking at the gels, or as the gel is being displayed, right above it is your hue, angle, and saturation. So now there's the ability that if you have a gel and you like it and you go, but it'd be nice if it was a little more saturated or if it was a little less saturated, I can simply move up into the hue and saturation menu and pull it back. So in the old days where you'd have to go up and DP would say, could you make that a little richer? Okay, well, let me fold it. Let me get 2 sheets and put them together, or let me get 3 and 4 sheets and put them together. Well, now you can do it just by dialing it in, which is really innovative. One of the other things that happens is normally when you double up your gel, you're losing light. This is calibrated such that as you saturate, the light level stays the same. Now, there are certain saturated colors you're not going to be able to maintain the same lumens, but you're going to stay very close to it. So you're not going to be dropping a stop and a half just because you've now gone to, cobalt blue or something like that. All of the software is upgradable. One of the most recent upgrades we did is we actually we've added an RGB. So in RGB mode, there's an app that I had on here recently called iSwatch, or it's just called Swatch. And the beauty is that it actually has all the different manufacturers of gels, and with it, they give you the DMX values for RGB. So even if the instrument doesn't have that particular, if it's an Apollo whatever, or Lee whatever number, you can actually look that up. And now just using the RGB values, you can dial it in on this. So really, your possibilities have vastly expanded. You're not limited to just a list that's in the unit. The firmware upgrades, they're coming out sort of on a quarterly basis now. They're easy to update. It's a mini USB. We'll be posting online the ability to do that, and there'll be a simple protocol which you download, and using a mini USB from your laptop, you'll be able to just simply pop that in. A lot of rigging accessories, some of which are pretty standard, and a lot of people know about them. We have the offset arm, and what it does is just simply aligns the weight of the fixture to the center line of the stand. Different mounting, different mounts. Again, some of them you may already have, but when you get into certain rigging situations, you want to have that option. A lot of different diffusion options, the snapbag, the Flozier. Snapbag has got some great innovations coming out. On our stand, we have our Celeb 850. There's going to be a snapbag on there that's 6 foot wide and 4 foot tall. It's awesome. It's beautiful. Same with the, we have a Celeb 401Q, a 4x4 diffusion in front of that. The beauty of all those diffusions too, they're shallow enough that when you have your forward leg, the diffusion doesn't go past that forward leg. So you're in a hallway or something, you know that your diffusion is not going to be impeding on the shot, because if you're going to see the forward leg, you're also going to see your instrument. So keeping it behind the forward leg was a way of ensuring that this is going to be as applicable to location shooting as possible. Right now we're showing this operating on a battery system. This is an accessory that we're making for V-mount batteries. It takes a 26 volt unit right now. These batteries are now becoming more and more common, 24 volt, 26 volt. And the weight is on the stand, it's not on the head, so you're not taxing the ball fitting. And you can just simply run onto the stage, or if you're doing an interview, go into it without having to worry about tacking into house power. So a lot of innovations, a lot of new possibilities. We welcome you to come down to, we're over here in the corner, and we can give you a more detailed rundown of all the different options. But again, what you saw here in terms of this color capability is now a cross-platform, and you'll be able to find that in every one of the instruments. So, thank you for your time.
You just keep innovating.
I try.
How long has Kino Flo been around now?
So, we're only 30 years old instead of 100. Sometimes I feel like 100, but you know.
Great products. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.